All right. Well, hey, another new thing for us. We started out at Buffalo Wild Wings with a live Facebook Live or whatever you want to call it, but we're here again with our Michigan Rose Bowl preview show. And again, we're brought to you by some great sponsors. They include Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. Sign up at the beginning of the year for their big 15% discount. And our other friends, AZ Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Corey Shook and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Tap House and Grill, and Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. But I don't know about you guys. I've been so consumed with the Lions that the Rose Bowl game's just kind of creeping up. It's kind of been in the background a little bit, but now that we're within a week, less than a week, now I'm starting to get geeked up. How about you guys?
That's what I hate about this big gap that we have. I'll still be excited come New Year's Day, but God, it's like you're almost out of the college football world by the time these games roll around. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I haven't really been paying much attention to any of these bowl games that have been going down. But like you said, as soon as 5 o'clock comes around, or as soon as the Rose Bowl parade comes around, really, I'm locked in.
Yeah.
I know we're going to get to the game. What is your guys' overall vibes? If 100% is we're winning, no doubt, 50%, it's a 50-50 game. Where are you guys at, if you think, right off the top of your dome?
Definitely not 100% we're winning, no doubt. I mean, that's just because we've been to two straight. This is the third straight college football playoff that Michigan has been to with Jim Harbaugh. But, they're 0-2, of course. And the first year against Georgia, I think everyone now looking back, Michigan had no shot in that game. I mean, that Georgia team was unreal.
Loaded.
So they were just outmatched. Last year, we've talked about it plenty on the podcast, a bit of a letdown versus TCU. Just seemed like a really weird game. And, I think it was a good experience, though, for the team to have that game where they probably should have won. And, they got behind, battled back, and came up short. But even this game is just like another hurdle because it's Nick Saban and Alabama. If we were matched up against Washington or Texas, two of the other teams in the playoff, I would be a lot more confident because those teams are kind of also new to the playoff and all that kind of thing. Nick Saban is, even if this isn't an Alabama team like the Alabama of old, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when they were in the middle of their dynasty, it's still Nick Saban in Alabama. So it's still the SEC champion. And for whatever that's worth, even if this isn't one of those traditional power Alabama teams, it's still Nick Saban in Alabama. So no, I am not 100% confident. I will say, I don't know what the scuttlebutt is up in Michigan, but down here, especially at work at the SEC network, I'm just getting crap left and right. I mean, people telling me Michigan doesn't deserve to be number one. How is Michigan even in the playoff? The whole argument about Florida State should have been in. People are telling me, if anything, Michigan should have been left out and Florida State should have been in. And, JJ McCarthy is overrated. How are people saying that he's a first-round talent and all that kind of stuff? That's all I'm hearing. Yeah. So I don't know if that's the same vibe up there. Probably, I don't know, Michigan State fans, if they're giving you guys the same crap. But I'm honestly, to answer your question, long-winded way to get to your question, I've been telling people over and over, I'm very confident in Michigan. I think if they play their game, they'll be fine. I think if J.J. McCarthy plays his game and doesn't throw pick sixes like he did against TCU, they'll be fine. But I think it's a coin flip. I think these are two very evenly matched teams. Whichever one kind of plays their game and plays better is going to win. I don't think it's leaning one way or the other. And Vegas basically says the same thing too.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Vegas. The thing, with me as the elder statesman, I've seen Michigan in this position before, going out to the West Coast, going out to the Rose Bowl. Things usually don't go very well. Okay. I mean, yeah, they won it in 97, but Bo didn't have a lot of luck in bowl games. Harbaugh is 1-6, and his only win is his first season in 2015. Yeah. I mean, that's got to be in the back of the mind. Now, with that all being said, with Saban and Alabama, mighty Alabama, this could be a season of destiny for Michigan. That's all we can hope for, because it's been a season of destiny so far, 13-0. It concerns me again with Harbaugh not having a contract done. He's being asked questions about San Diego, and he's using his standard just goofball answer. I mean, I hope none of that
answering the question at
exactly. I hope none of that really becomes a distraction. And I think from watching this team all season long, I don't think it will be. I think it's going to, like you said, a coin flip. I think it's going to be a heck of a game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. So
Right.
I'm just getting ready for it, man. Just getting ready for it.
I honestly don't think you mentioned the pressure. Sorry to cut you off, Jared.
No,
you
you're
mentioned the pressure. If there's a team that can handle the distractions, the pressure, all the weird, like you're talking about the NFL rumors with Harbaugh,
Mhm.
they've had that ever since Harbaugh's been at Michigan. Every
True.
offseason, when it hits that Black Monday for NFL coaches to hit the road, it's always Jim Harbaugh's the next coach or whatever. They've been dealing with that the whole time. And then especially this season with him being suspended twice during the season. If there's a team that can handle whatever distraction, I think it's this Michigan team. But we will see. We'll see.
Yeah. The thing that worries me, man, is at the end of it, I mean, we talked about it when the video first came out and when this match was announced, Michigan, quote unquote, looking scared. I put a little bit more into that than you guys did. You guys just brushed it off. And I think a lot of people did. And that's maybe the right case. But in my mind, it was eye-opening to see the kind of gasp as Alabama went on the screen. And I don't blame them. I mean, look at the last 6 college football semifinal games for Bama. They've won all of them by double digits, 5 of them by 17 or more. And that Michigan State game was by 38 points. Like, they have never lost a semifinal game. So it's one of those things where I kind of need to see it. I can tell you, Matt, you said 50-50. I wish I was there. I'm more about 25%. I think Michigan's going to win. And I feel dumb saying that. Everything on paper, everything we've watched all year, they look damn good. They look like a team that's ready to kind of take that next step. But at the end of the day, I just need to see it first.
Right.
The SEC so many times and times again, man. I've had my hopes up that somebody would beat them all the way back to, I remember 2012, Notre Dame, Manti Te'o rolling into that game and just getting their doors blown off.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll happen. I would really be shocked if they get blown out. But I'm a little uneasy about everything. From the day it was first announced until now, I really, with each passing day and each day that Nick Saban is prepping his team, not leaving a stone unturned, getting ready for Michigan. You know he hates Michigan from his state days. I've heard that story a few different times leading up to this game. I'm worried. I'm officially worried.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go as far as worried, just because I think this Michigan team is super experienced with a quarterback that's been there. The whole team is experienced. They're not playing very many young guys. It's a lot of senior leadership, guys who've been in the playoff, guys who have beat Ohio State 3 times in a row, guys who have been to all these Big Ten championships now. So even the coaches, even Sharon Moore getting the head coaching experience is a plus. Mike Hart getting the head coach, it's a just overall super experienced team that I think is going to go a long way, especially against a team like Alabama. One of our loyal listeners chimed in, Dave Jelinek, and he mentioned something I was going to bring up. He mentioned that Alabama has given up 41 sacks this year. And that is definitely an area that Michigan needs to try and get after Jalen Milroe, Alabama's quarterback, because he is super athletic, can scramble. Usually those are the quarterbacks that give Michigan a little bit of trouble. But if they can pressure them, if they can pressure Milroe, I really think they can kind of make things uneasy for him, because I've watched a lot of Alabama games this year because of obviously where I work, and he's kind of an erratic quarterback. He's super athletic, really good, can run. He's rushed for about 500 yards this year, so he can run. But when he gets pressured, he kind of like gets off kilter and will make some wild throws and gets off his read, and he makes some crazy plays like he did in the Iron Bowl against Alabama that won them the game. But that's maybe where Michigan can, attack him, because he's not experienced. McCarthy's been there. Milroe's been at Alabama for a few years, but this is his first year as a starter, and he took over about halfway through the season as the starter. So I just think if they can rattle him, if they can get him off, making his first couple reads, but then they've got to be able to track him down too. So I think this Michigan team has the speed to keep up with him. They've got hopefully Will Johnson, their defensive back, is going to be healthy. It sounds like he's going to be fine. I think that'll be huge. But, I do think the people that are just like, how the heck is Michigan even in this game? This is going to be a blowout. Alabama's going to run them off the field. I almost wonder if they're just looking at it as Alabama versus Michigan, Nick Saban versus Jim Harbaugh, and thinking of that bowl record that you mentioned, Ted, and, thinking, Michigan's coming from the Big Ten, whatever, SEC so much better. Because really all year, Alabama hasn't really blown anyone out. The only teams they've blown out were like Middle Tennessee State and Chattanooga. Everyone else they've played in the SEC, for the most part, is they've barely beaten. I
Right.
mean, the one team that they ran up the score on, LSU, their defense is ranked like number 101 in the country. All the other defenses in the SEC are around number 40. A&M and Georgia are top 10, but Alabama, it was a close game with those teams. So Alabama, they're not blowing anyone out. And kind of like the point that you made, Jared, I don't think if Alabama wins, it's not going to be a blowout.
I don't think
it's going to
so.
be a battle because Alabama, other than those lesser teams, they haven't blown anyone out all year. And I don't think Michigan is the team that they're going to blow out.
No, we've seen it so many times, and you're exactly right. I really don't think Bama's going to blow out. They've blown nobody out all year. I remember somebody when Florida State missed the playoff, they like posted a couple of their close games they've had with lesser opponents, and they basically just matched it with Alabama, and somebody said basically exactly what you said. They blew nobody out all year. I have a few scenarios I think that I see this game going. I want to throw them out to you guys, and you tell me which one seems realistic. The first one's pretty negative, so just understand that as I'm about to say it. Okay, so JJ McCarthy, quote unquote, TCU's it, as I would say. What this is, in my opinion, is a couple backbreaking interceptions. Basically, it's 2 turnovers, maybe a fumbled exchange, which we've seen a couple times in the TCU game last year and the Michigan State game a couple years ago when McCarthy was a freshman. It's a 42-28 type of loss. McCarthy, because they fall behind early, he throws, maybe 40 plus passes. The first quarter, it looks really scary. We have a really bad turnover, maybe the first drive or two of the game. Bama goes up 14 points early, almost like TCU did. I see it almost playing out similarly to that TCU game. The defense has to play out of them, play differently than they have all year because now they're trailing where they've been leading all these games. Playing out similarly. I'm just saying I hear myself on echo. Number 2. So that's my first prediction. Number 2, Michigan defense plays like they have all year, forces a couple Milroe interceptions. Honestly, I think the biggest thing, and this is so basic, but it's so true in football, it's going to come down to the turnover margin. And more importantly, it's going to come down to McCarthy and Milroe. If 100%. They let Milroe get comfortable in the pocket and they don't pressure him and he escapes a few, would-be sacks that would set him up for 3rd and longs and that type of thing, or if he scrambles out of the pocket on 3rd and 10 when everybody's covered downfield, that's what worries me. But I really think that there's a world where this Michigan defense looks like the defense we've seen all year. Jesse Minter, we need something to resurrect what was last year's TCU game. I don't know what that was from the defense, but we need to see what this defense has been in Big Ten play the last 3 seasons. How I would see that one going is similar to that McCarthy scenario where it's like maybe we force a turnover or a turnover on downs or a 3-and-out, one of those first couple drives of the game, set the tone, and McCarthy, McCorum, Edwards can kind of game manage their way to victory. The number 3, this is my last one. I don't think this could happen, but believe me, this is something that could happen. We look at each other and we're texting each other during the game like, we are idiots. How do we not see this coming? Michigan looks totally overmatched. Just SEC athleticism. I mean, from what I'm reading and what I've seen this year, Bama has 2 basically round 1 corners, and one of their guys, Kool-Aid McKinstry, basically going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL. I worry about our playmakers on the perimeter, Roman Wilson. I don't know. Our tight ends are going to have to play really, really well, but I could see a world where it's like second quarter, we're down 21-0 and it's like, what the hell just happened? The game's over before it even started. So of those 3, if you had to pick one prediction, what would you guys say? Again, 2. It's JJ McCarthy, TCU, Michigan defense plays like they have all year, played great, or it's Michigan totally overmatched.
I'm with Ted. I would say more 2. I don't think it's going to be an overmatched. I guess the turnover thing, you never know, because I didn't expect McCarthy to throw 2 pick sixes against TCU either.
Right.
So you just never know about that. But I do agree that I think Michigan's tight ends are the big mismatch. I think Alabama's rush defense is really good. So I don't know if Michigan's going to be able to go like full Penn State mode and rush the ball 60 times and just win the game on the ground. I think McCarthy's going to have to win it through the air, and the tight ends are the mismatch because, like you said, Alabama has 2 NFL cornerbacks, and Michigan's receivers, while we like them, they're not like big playmaking Ohio State type receivers, So I think the tight ends are the mismatch. I say that though, and one thing that's interesting. So one thing that kind of makes me wonder if what I just said isn't going to play out, the rushing offense thing for Michigan.
Yeah.
So obviously we remember the Penn State game. Penn State's defense only gives up like 69 yards per game, and Michigan rushed for like 230 yards against them. They were just like, we're going to ground and pound because we know their offense isn't going to beat us. So let's control the clock and win it that way. Auburn did the same thing to Alabama. Alabama's defense, they give up about 120 yards rushing per game, and Auburn kept in the game by rushing the ball. 42 rushes for 244 yards by Auburn in that game, and they only passed like 16 times. So I looked that up because I remember watching the Iron Bowl and being like, man, Auburn is just ground and pound, and being like, I wonder what the stats are. You remember Peyton Thorne, Auburn's quarterback now, who we remember obviously for Michigan State, didn't have a very good game. And so that's why they went to the ground attack. And I was kind of surprised because I was like, I didn't think that Michigan would go that route, but I wonder if they will look at the Auburn tape and think maybe this is our way to attack Alabama. But I don't think it is. I think you got to win with JJ McCarthy's arm. I think he's got to run, roll out passes, use those tight ends. I don't think they're going to go full rush 42 times, but
I don't think they can.
It is Jim Harbaugh. So.
Yeah. I'm looking at this stat right now. 8 of the last 10 semifinal college football games have featured a team scoring 45 points.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we know Michigan's defense is damn good, but we saw it last year in that TCU game as well. It's like just something about these games, the month off to get prepped, give you your best 10 to 15 scripted plays and just light it up to start. I see it being a shootout, and I don't know about you guys. That makes me really worried. I know Milroe. I agree with what a lot of people are saying, that McCarthy is the best quarterback in the game, but something about Michigan, they do not like that. They're not comfortable in a shootout game like that. So I just worry about it. But I think it's going to be a great game.
I think they're gonna mix in some new plays like all teams do when they're in this situation. The one thing that worries me about the running attack is Zinter. I mean, he's out, All-American lineman. That could be really big right there. Now, the backup, I'm sure, is good too, but not Zinter good.
Right.
I got a feeling they'll see the backup quarterback. What's his name again? That he was a scout team quarterback. Yeah. I think they're going to run some special plays for him, periodically in the game and try to get that running attack working. But I do agree. I think if Michigan wins this game, they're going to have to air it out. They're going to have to let it loose. And, their defense will play well. But I think it's all going to come down to, as it so often does, the team that turns the ball over less is going to probably win the game. Michigan's got to protect that ball.
I mean, and to an extent, that's how the TCU game played out, right? If McCarthy doesn't throw those 2 pick sixes, and then if they don't fumble on the goal line when they should have scored early in the game, that's a completely different game.
100%.
And that was so uncharacteristic for Michigan last year. McCarthy protects the ball really well, and their running backs don't fumble. So I totally agree. I honestly think I've probably said it on the podcast the last few weeks. I really think that it comes down to JJ McCarthy. This is his, as great as he's been. It's still funny to me to see people criticize JJ McCarthy. I still have people at work, like I said earlier, giving me crap like, really, JJ McCarthy, he's a first round quarterback, still saying he's overrated and stuff. Jeez. And I don't understand the hate that he still gets. But
he hasn't. I think it's because I know he's beaten Ohio State, but we haven't seen it on the national stage.
Right.
Ohio State obviously is, and most people watch that game of any game of the entire year, every single year almost.
Yeah.
But at least to me, I think we got to see it in this game. If he does it in this game, I mean, it's like people will be like, wow, he should have probably won the Heisman. I don't know. Maybe not.
That's kind of what I mean. I think this is like, we've talked about legacy games or whatever sport we've been talking about. This is a legacy game, I think, for McCarthy. If he goes in there in the Rose Bowl, which obviously is legendary for Michigan, Bo Schembechler, and obviously everything with the Rose Bowl, against Nick Saban, against Alabama, if JJ McCarthy goes out there, throws 3 touchdowns, 250 yards, rushes for another, some sort of day like that, then you put him down as maybe the best Michigan quarterback ever. Mm-hmm. If he goes out there and lays an egg again, kind of like last year, it's just going to be another coming up short type of thing. And I really don't think he's going to do that. Just seeing how he fought back against TCU last year after those pick sixes, I think that's just a great. So I agree. I agree with you guys about throwing some different plays out there. Right. But when I was starting to say about TCU, remember they ran that weird double tight end reverse Colston Loveland on 4th down.
It was like the Philly special, wasn't it?
It was the Philly special with a freshman tight end that they had never ran all season. I hope they don't do stuff like that,
right. Good point.
Stuff that's so uncharacteristic. Now, if you get Donovan Edwards back out there, we've seen him throw a couple passes, the kind of wide receiver reverse with Samaj Morgan, who some people in our comments thread have brought up, he's kind of a little bit of a wild card, stuff like that for sure. But honestly, I think you have a quarterback like JJ McCarthy, you go down with him. This is his 3rd year at Michigan. He's supposed to be a first-round quarterback. He was a Heisman candidate. This is where you give him the ball, and Blake Corum, and you basically say, you guys win this game. This is your game to win.
And I don't think there's we've all said it. I don't think there's a world where they pound it down Bama's throat. They really haven't done that all year. They did it against Penn State somewhat. They almost were more so just ball control in that game than putting a ton of points on the board. I will be sick to my stomach if they come out super conservative. And next thing you know, they're down 14, and we have almost a replay of last year's TCU game where it's like McCarthy, when the defense is just expecting him to drop back and throw it every snap. And yeah, he might put up some good numbers, but at the end of the day, it's not winning football. I think genuinely, I really think Michigan has all the talent to win this game. Yeah. It's about the belief in that locker room. And there's no way for us to know if it's actually true belief that they think they can win this game. Yeah. I know I joke about that stupid video. Prove it on the field. Right. If they truly believe they can win this game, there's no reason they can't. And they definitely should. I mean, there's a reason they've been the number one team in the country, reason that Vegas has them as the favorite. There's a reason a lot of the Joe Schmo idiots are betting on Bama, because generally it goes the other way around. Vegas always wins, as they say. So,
and with all those bets, the line really hasn't moved. You know, usually once all the money starts dumping on one team, you see the line start to move, and it really hasn't moved. So, and it's great. Vegas knows stuff. You know, I'm not a big. You're more into it than I am, Jared. But you know, it's crazy how often Vegas gets this stuff right. You know.
Well, think about it. I mean, the Michigan State Bama game from whenever that was, it's like State was a 10-point underdog. I mean, that's a Big Ten champ that beat Ohio State, did everything Michigan did this year. They must seriously think that this Michigan team has something to them. Again, we've circled it 400 times. McCarthy, show us what you have. If you're getting comp to Andrew Luck in the Rose Bowl, it's time to make those plays that give you that comp.
Well, and not only that, okay, the X factor is Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh, I think, has something to prove, whether he stays, whether he goes. It's up. He's going against the GOAT. You know, I mean, Harbaugh's got the high credentials himself, but he knows Saban's up a little higher on that ladder than he is. Sure. And if Harbaugh preaches the right message, you know, they come into that game playing the chip on the shoulder. They come in with confidence. And like we've all said, you know, don't turn the ball over. Don't do anything silly. I think talent-wise, man for man, they definitely can beat this Alabama team. And that's what I'm going to, in my mindset, leading all the way up to Monday, 5 o'clock, I'm thinking confident. I'm thinking this is karma, the Wolverines' year. They're going to get it done. They're going to go to that damn Rose Bowl, beat Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide, and move on to the national championship game. That's where I'm leaning now. All my thoughts are focused on that.
Would you guys, what's more important to you guys, Lions playoff win or this college football playoff win?
Oh man, I was hoping we wouldn't get into this.
No, we don't got to go to the Lions rabbit hole, or the Lions rabbit hole. But what do we think?
I will say this
all the way.
I will say this, Jared. If you phrased it as Lions Super Bowl or Michigan National Championship, I'm going Lions Super Bowl. Yeah. That's where I would be at.
If you phrase it as a Super Bowl versus this, then it's hard not to say Super Bowl for the Lions. I mean, the misery that franchise has been through forever. And it feels like, you know, Michigan, where they're at, they could be back next year, especially with the playoff going to 12 teams. Yeah. You know, they can be back in the playoff, but you never know if this kind of season is ever going to happen again with the Lions. So, I would lean Lions Super Bowl. But, no, it's a huge deal because of everything you said. Jim Harbaugh might be gone next year. We really have no idea what's going to happen. And while, yes, the program's in a good place, and people are saying, like, if Harbaugh leaves, you just hand the keys over to Sherrone Moore because he proved it. If that happens, you have no idea what direction the program's going to go, because if Jim Harbaugh leaves, he's been the staple of this rebuild. No matter where the program is established, no matter how good of a coach Moore could turn into be, you have no idea what's going to happen. So I think Harbaugh, as much as he loves Michigan and cares about Michigan and probably his legacy at Michigan, I think he knows too, because Ted, you listed the bowl record. People bring that up a lot when they talk about Harbaugh. He hasn't won in the playoff. Yeah, okay, he's won some Big Ten championships, but his bowl record is terrible, and hasn't won a national title, hasn't won a Super Bowl. Like, he does all this great stuff, but he hasn't won the big one. Even as a player, you know, he has that kind of criticism. I think it's a big deal to him. If he can beat Nick Saban in Alabama, I mean, once you get to the national title, you want to win the national title, but it's almost like it doesn't matter what happens in the national title. Get past Alabama and Nick Saban and let the rest play out. But You got to think confident, Ted. You said it. You can't think otherwise.
Exactly.
So all the people at work, when I work on the Paul Feinbaum show, I just tune out all the noise and I just keep all the positivity coming in.
Here, you said it perfectly, Matt. It's this year or bust. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care. I don't even care what happens next year. Think about everything that's going Michigan's direction. They brought back basically every player from a college football playoff team last year. They've had 3 straight years of college football playoff experience. They're going against the SEC team in Bama. That's one of the worst in my lifetime, probably.
Yeah.
If you can't at the Rose Bowl, if you're not winning this game, then it's never happening for us Michigan fans.
Right.
I hate to say it. It's never happening for us if it's not this game, if it's not this year.
Especially with
go
potentially all the people that could be leaving. I mean, you kind of just said it. But after this year, JJ McCarthy is the one. He may be back, who knows. But if everyone leaves who is kind of set to leave, it's going to be a completely different team next year with a lot less experience too. So you got to do it.
And it's like, who knows? Minter's probably out on at some point. He could leave
very
this
soon
offseason.
anyway.
Yeah. Mike McDonald, he's been doing a damn good job for the Ravens. Kind of wish we still had that guy, even though Minter's done a great job. One thing I want to throw out Yelenick, I think it's a great point from one of our commenters. He mentioned Samaj Morgan. I think he is a big time X factor in this game, whether it's we know how big special teams are in these big time games. Whether it's punt returns, kick returns, whether they mix them in, maybe that's one of their new wrinkles is he's got a few new packages on offense where they're getting the ball in his hands. As a true freshman, the lights are bright, but as we've seen from past interviews and conversations on this pod, he's a confident guy. I don't think he's going to be scared at all. And that's what you need on Michigan's sideline is guys like him who are thinking I'm better than everybody on Bama, whether it's true or not. You need that belief. So I think he really could be a difference maker in this game. One other comment I saw, Casey Smith commented, your broadcast partner, Ted, or former broadcast partner, who wins the best of 7 series, Michigan college basketball versus Detroit Pistons. It comes down to who's coaching, man. I mean, Juwan Howard or Monty Williams. I mean, pick your poison with those two guys. That's where I'm at with that one. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole.
It's pretty funny.
One final thing I got. Uniforms. What do you guys think they're going to do with the Rose Bowl? I mean, I've been thinking about this ever since they got announced they're playing the Rose Bowl. I think they keep it simple. I saw one of the concepts they threw out there of the helmet with roses on the back. I thought it was a little bit too much. I think it's simple. All you do, you have the Michigan M right here on your helmet. Just put the rose through it. And then maybe you have a Rose Bowl patch. That's all I need to see them do. And if they come out in anything other than their classic blue top with maize pants, I hate it. If they come out in all blue, I swear to God, I'll turn the TV off. Wear the traditional jerseys in the Rose Bowl. Where are you guys at with the uniforms?
You might be turning it off because they might go with the all blues. Well, do you
guys like those? I
love the all blue. I love the all blue, but I don't want to overdo it. Like it should just be special games, Big Ten championship and other stuff like that. So yeah, I guess that would be the Rose Bowl. That's a pretty special one, but it's the Rose Bowl. I want to see the classic blue top maize pants, and they've already shown that they've stitched the Rose Bowl patch on. I wish they would have put the huge patch on the shoulders, like they did back in '97, with Charles Woodson. That would have been really cool. But yeah, the patch there. Yeah, I saw the roses on the helmet. I mean, whatever. You got to do special stuff for the Rose Bowl. Like I saw JJ McCarthy got roses painted on his cleats. That's pretty cool. But no, I'm hoping blue top, maize pants, and I hope Alabama goes crimson top, white pant. Like just the two of the most classic uniforms in college football. Put those on at the Rose Bowl and go play.
Yep, I'm good with that too. I don't get too worked up on the uniform thing now that they're all over the place, but the traditional, that's where I'm at all the way. All right. Is it time for us to kind of give our prediction, you think?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. I was going to say before we do that, one more comment. Kevin Macklin, he mentioned Alabama hasn't seen a defense like Michigan yet, and that's very true. Michigan's basically the number 1 defense in the country, and the 2 best defenses that Alabama's seen is Texas A&M and Georgia, and obviously they beat Georgia. That's their most impressive win of the season. That's a very impressive win to beat Georgia. But Texas A&M, they struggled with it. Texas A&M, I mean, they're basically a 500 team this year, and so that was not very impressive. So that's the thing. The people that are just like Alabama's going to roll Michigan. Michigan has no shot. Everything. Whatever criticism they want to give Michigan for the schedule they played, Alabama's schedule really isn't that much better. You talk about SEC, but Tennessee wasn't as good as they're expected to be. A&M wasn't as good. Ole Miss even not as good as people expected. So Alabama's schedule isn't any more impressive than Michigan's. Michigan beating Ohio State, Michigan beating Penn State, Michigan handling Iowa. I know Iowa's offense is atrocious, but that defense is top 5, and Michigan handled that defense. So, no, I think if you put schedules, that's what I mean. I think these are two just super evenly matched teams. So, to give my prediction, I'm definitely leaning Michigan, of course, because I think the experience, I think being there for the third straight year, Jim Harbaugh, I think JJ McCarthy is the guy. I think he is not overrated. I think this defense is for real. I think the skill players, I think Barner and Loveland at tight end are going to be the difference. I think Blake Corum came back to win this game. Donovan Edwards wants to prove something too. I think everyone on this team wants to prove something, including Jim Harbaugh. And I think even if they find themselves down like one of your scenarios you laid out, Jared, I think they're going to go into halftime. They've been amazing at making halftime adjustments if they have to. Jesse Minter is also about to prove, because, right, he's seen what Mike McDonald's doing. So maybe Minter wants to get to the NFL. If you want to prove that you're an NFL caliber coordinator, do it against Alabama. So I'm definitely leaning Michigan, and I think it's going to be fairly low scoring. I'm going like a 24-14 type of game, 24-20 maybe. And it all hinges on, this is JJ McCarthy's legacy game. You win this game and you show out, build a statue for you outside of Jim Beckler Hall right now.
Yeah.
But Michigan for sure.
I feel bad. And this is what's going to tick me off is I would be doing our listeners a disservice. I didn't tell them how I truly felt the game was going to play out. I think it's a 42-28 game. Bama wins. I hope not. Believe me, I will happily come on this pod in a week and let you guys just roast me for that prediction. Ted, I know you probably can't wait to treat me like Cersei Lannister in Game of Thrones and shame me throughout the streets.
Shame.
Exactly. So I hope it doesn't happen.
Show. I don't know that.
I really hope it doesn't happen, man. But if you got to put my bullet or gun to my head, prediction, Bama 42-28. I think McCarthy plays really well. I think maybe just one or two passes like we've seen kind of throughout the year that kind of leave you scratching your head are going to maybe cost us. I think the lack of a running game is going to put all the pressure on McCarthy. And so it's like almost like we can't necessarily blame him because they're almost one dimensional. But I really hate to say it. We've seen it too many goddamn times. It's like betting against Alabama. I mean, it's the saying, right? Betting against Alabama, you don't get rich doing that.
Right.
I mean, we last 6 opponents in the college football semifinals to beat them out by at least 17 points. I got to go Bama, man. 42-28. I think it's a great game. I think Bama scores one TD late that kind of ices it to make that 42-28 final score. But I think it's going to be a great game. Knock on wood. Hopefully Michigan can win, and I'm wrong. But that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Ted. You got to break the tie, Ted.
I'll break the tie for sure, and I won't go like I did with the Michigan-Ohio State game. Jared's scenario definitely could happen, but I'm leaning towards this is the Wolverines' year. They've got, like I said, that chip on their shoulder. It's been Michigan against the world all season long. Paul Feinbaum, his whole crew there, other than yourself, can stick it where. And I'm just going to say it's going to be a hell of a game, boys. I think it's going to be 28-27 Michigan. A kicker situation for Alabama. Missed PAT, the difference in the game. How about that?
If that happens, I'll say $100 is going your way right when it happens. I love that. That's a very specific prediction. I almost need something like very specific like that, but I love it.
So go blue, right?
That happened. I'm looking it up real quick. That happened versus Alabama in a bowl game.
Oh, they've always had issues with
the
kickers,
2000.
man.
Yeah, I knew that.
They had the kick six go against them, didn't they? Or
the 2000 Orange Bowl when they played Alabama, Michigan beat them 35-34 on a missed extra point.
There you go.
You're just throwing it back 23 years to the 2000 Orange Bowl.
I like it. They
beat Alabama. We'll throw these out before you sign off, Ted. Yeah. Dave said, one of our loyal listeners, like I said, 29-26 Michigan is his prediction.
Ooh.
So pretty close to yours, Ted.
Yeah.
And then Cam 30-27 Michigan. So Jared, you're the outlier. Hopefully it's the reverse jinx that you're trying to pull here, but
I hope
it's going to be an awesome game. Real quick, do you guys like the 5 o'clock slot, or would you rather it be the 8 o'clock?
I like it.
I love it. 5 o'clock is perfect, man. The only thing that sucks is if Michigan loses, it kind of ruins that second game. Like Ohio State versus Georgia last year, all-time game. I remember sitting in a bar New Year's Eve, like I was hell. It was hell watching it because you just were sick to your stomach about the Michigan game. But if they win that game, then you're just like, you're loving every second of that second game. I love the 5 o'clock time slot.
Oh, it's perfect, especially if it's a sunny day and the sun going down over the mountains there. Oh my goodness, the Rose Bowl. What a perfect way to finish this season and go to the national championship game. But I love it. Hey, before I do sign off, I just want to very quickly respond back to Casey. I watched that Pistons game in its entirety last night. You guys called it perfectly. They cannot shoot. They don't play consistent defense. You know, Cade, he's a guy you can keep around, him and number 0 there. But other than that, clear house, man. That team is awful.
Duren?
Yeah.
Number 0.
Yeah.
That was a gut-wrenching loss. It really was, man. They had a couple leads late that just dwindled, and just brutal. Sad, man, because it really was a great crowd. It's like, it just shows, man, Pistons fans we've been waiting for a winner forever. My whole life, I've never seen one, it feels like. So whenever it does come, the people are ready. But what a gut-wrenching loss. And one thing that was really cool, and real quick, this is all Michigan.
Yes.
One thing that was really cool was Cade basically saying at the podium, I'm the face of this team. I wanted to come out and talk to you guys after we set this losing record and basically be the face of it. It's like, I appreciated his sentiment, man. I would love to see Troy Weaver, Tom Gores maybe step out on that podium instead of having Cade do that. But that he earned some brownie points for me with the way he handled that.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about it, I think he is genuine. He seems like a great guy. He's not going to say anything otherwise. I mean, you know, he's going to say the right stuff. I think he means it, though. I'm not saying that he's just blowing smoke up all of our butts. So we have to say something real quick. You got the Lions hat on. You mentioned you've never seen a Pistons winner because you were so young back in 2004. First time in your lifetime that the Lions have won the division. We don't have to get all into this because this was just a Michigan special, but how awesome is that? First time in 30 years. I mean, I was a young guy when it happened. I remember it, though, 91. I remember those seasons. But amazing. I mean, they're going to be hosting a game at Ford Field. And honestly, I think with the way they're rolling, that I don't care who they play. I think they can beat anyone that they're matched up with.
It was a perfect football weekend. Lions big time win on Christmas Eve. You watch it. We recorded it, went to church, came back, watched the fourth quarter. They almost blew it, but they got it done at the end of the day. It felt great. I loved seeing all the old photos. Like I saw one of Wayne Fontes wearing a restored hat back from that 1991 team. Awesome so hat. Really cool. Now it's time to keep it rolling. I mean, we saw the 49ers go down. So now we just need to handle our business and win the rest of our games and get a little bit of luck on the outside. Maybe we can get that first round bye. How sweet would that be?
Some people don't necessarily like having that first round bye. I lean to, hey, get rested up, have all your home games, and let's go try to get to that Super Bowl. But this has been a Michigan broadcast, but we had to mix in a little Lions.
We had to mix in the Lions.
All right, guys, go blue. We'll be back on the backside. 2024, we'll be back full strength, breaking down the Pistons, Lions, Wolverines victory, and then talk a little preview of that national championship game, hopefully. All right, guys, let's get out of here. We want to thank our sponsors again, Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center. Definitely stop on in for a membership for 2024. Get your 15% off and get yourself in shape. Also want to thank AZ Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Corey Shook and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Tap House and Grill, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, and all you listeners that participate. We appreciate it. We'll probably try to put some more of these Facebook Live presentations on periodically when there's a big topic, and just spread it to all your friends that we do appreciate your support, and we look forward to putting some other good podcast on the air next year, right?
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it. Hopefully after a Michigan win, like you said.
Amen. Go blue.
Go blue.